right now, the average home price seems to be 3.752343 Bitcoin. So this whole thing here. And if we just zoom back, let's say 5 years, this was 45 Bitcoin. We completely slashed home prices. You needed 45 Bitcoin, or like let's say July. Yeah, you needed 35 Bitcoin. Now it's actually perfect. It's a perfect 10x. July, or now we have August, right? Yeah, it's okay, 27. So like exactly 5 years ago, because now we have the 1st of August. This will come out a little later, probably like 11th of August or something like that. But today, as we're recording, 1st of August, 2025 to 2020, we went from 27 Bitcoin you need to 3.7 Bitcoin. So we kind of, I don't know, like we have now 1/9 of the price or something like that. We went down drastically. Yeah, like 5 years, we went down 92% in the price of the average home. And if you go a little bit further, because I like to look at 10-year trends, and you go back to like 2015 in August, yeah, I have it here. You needed 1,045 Bitcoin for a home. Now you need
That's
3.
crazy. And
That sounds so
so many
crazy.
people, I flew home from Costa Rica after one of my trips down there to work on one of the permaculture farms. And I was flying back and I was sitting next to a banker and his wife. And his wife and I just started ripping and, we got on the topic of Bitcoin and I was sitting there explaining it to her and we talked about home prices. And I said, it's not that these homes are getting more expensive or that things are that much more valuable. It's the money. It's the fact that it takes more of the money because the money is worth less. And if you can start to understand that in your head, that it's not that these things are any better, it's that the money is worse, that you can't start unseeing. And so if we can figure out how to get that concept into people, then I don't know how you can't really start to question things. And I really love the work Jeff Booth does with his Price of Tomorrow. That was pivotal in my seeing that we live in the most technologically advanced age that we're aware of ever. We have the ability, like we have some incredible entrepreneurship, the ability to produce things so fast, so abundant. Well, why isn't that passing on the savings? Because entrepreneurs only go after areas where they realize they can try and save money and they're trying to take profit from another person that's building a similar thing. And so what is it then? And then it's like, oh, well, it's the debasement of money that's also occurring at the same time. And it's outpacing the debasement of the entrepreneurial endeavors that people are going under. And it's like, man, what would the prices of things be if we were on a Bitcoin standard this entire time from 1971 to now? Like homes would be, how low? A couple 100,000 sats, maybe, and that's just a wild concept. And why I really believe that all of us, whoever's already stacking Bitcoin, whatever the amount you have, as long as you can hold on to that, ensure that it can be passed on once you pass away, you're changing your bloodline. And you're giving them a fighting chance. They have to be responsible with it as well. But man, as this thing continues to come on, and for the people that have been around for a long time, we see it. We see the game theory continuing to play out. More and more people are coming in. The financialization of it is happening right now. And so what is it when every S&P 500 company in the world, or just every company in the world, is now using it to also fight their debasement of the savings they have and the profits they have? We're so early, it's silly. Even at 100,000, I don't even know what we're at right now. I know it dropped down to like 115. It's still so early and it's going so much higher. It's kind of crazy. I just want to know if it's going to be violent jumps or if it's going to be more of a gradual, steady step. That way we can have more time to hopefully get more people on board. But
I fear that we have
yeah,
extremely high
same.
pushes. Like I fear that. And And it's crazy because if we stick with the home example, you casually said like, oh yeah, like making it clear that it does not make sense for it to go up massively. But if we make that example with you build a new home, let's say you build a new home in 2020 and you make all the new changes, and you buy the land, you buy the house, you renovate it, you do all the things, then you leave it like it is for 10 years. Now you got this first kind of problems. You would need to put in like 5K, 10K, maybe in 50K in restorations. Then you also have a house that's 10 years old with, here and there some problems, not as modern anymore, and here and there maybe some kind of cracks already in the thing. So 10 years ago you had a modern home, you had a perfect home, it looked great, and now 10 years later you don't have that anymore. But for some reason this older home, which you need to put money in to make it newer, to make it better again, this is now more worth than before. uh, you cannot make it make sense. This is only making sense if you see it in the lens of fiat currency. And that's why I love the Bitcoin chart in real estate, just going down consistently. You get cheaper home prices every year, and the dream of owning a home will be very affordable. Now we're at 3 Bitcoin. We were at 27 Bitcoin 5 years ago. In 5 years, if we continue the same route, we might be at whatever, I don't know, zero point 0.5 Bitcoin, 0.1 Bitcoin for the
Yeah.
average home. And it's
There's
incredible.
another website similar to what you're talking about where it says if you would instead of buying this, if you would have bought Bitcoin, and it just goes to random points in time, and it's like if you wouldn't have got this update of the iPhone and you would have bought Bitcoin, it would have been worth. And I mean, it's just ungodly amounts of money when it goes back a little bit, like the 2015, 2014. But you realize that, people, if you would have just taken $800 and bought Bitcoin at this time, you would have this life changing money. And it's kind of fun because I've noticed with all of my friends and family that have taken this serious, that I've talked to and actually started to buy Bitcoin and to kind of go down this path with us, all of their spending habits have changed. They aren't all so quick to just go out and do the silly trips, or not silly trips. Vacations are fine, and I'm good with going and doing things. Like I'm not just stick in the mud here, holding on to my Bitcoin and like it's nothing like that. But you realize how many things you buy that you don't necessarily need, and what is it if you can delay that gratification? And what it is in this case, it means that you're going to have so much more freedom. You're going to be able to escape the rat race. Yes, this website right here. I love sharing it with people to show the power of stacking sats.
I love that.
Oh my
I've
gosh.
literally never saw that website. And I just Googled if you would have bought this instead of Bitcoin, and
Go
it
through a
literally showed
couple.
up
You're going to laugh
as the
so
same
hard.
website. So we are now seeing a website like if you bought a Bitcoin instead of a freaking stupid shit, you would have X amount of dollars. So let's see, this can't be that bad. Click here. So instead of an Xbox One, you would have now have
That's crazy.
77,000 US dollar. That's crazy.
No.
An Xbox One seems not that long ago. I got I
And
got
it
to
shows you the
stop
release
smoking.
date down below. So it says when this snapshot was taken right below, right there. And so you'd know, like, this is wild. Who was it? TFTC just shared a thing the other day. And it said that if you would have been stacking $10 a day since 2015, I believe it was like that $36,000 that you've invested would have been worth, it was like $180 million or something at this point. And it's just, we don't understand compounding and exponential numbers. Like it's not an easy thing to grasp when you don't do it. Sorry to cut you off there. Just wanted to say that this is what this is showing right here,
I love that. That burger wasn't worth it. That website must be is such a great website. You instead of buying, what is it, Snapchat spectacles.
That's the whole
What
thing,
the
right?
heck is
We
Snapchat
don't even know what it
spectacles?
is, but you could have had $61,000, and was it worth it for that filter? Yeah.
Is that Bitcoin for
Oh my
dummies?
gosh,
Is
that's
that a
so funny. If you'd have spent $15 on Bitcoin instead of buying that book, you would now have almost $4,000. Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
is
I'm
this a
guessing
Bitcoin
it because
explanation book or
the
like what
For
is that?
Dummies series is there's like Wall Street for Dummies, English for Dummies, and it's just a way of breaking people down to teach people the basics of different topics.
Oh, I love that. I love that example. If you've bought a Bitcoin instead of a freaking iPhone 7, you would have now have over a Bitcoin. You would be a whole coiner now with 124,000 US dollars,
And now you've upgraded.
1.07
That's
Bitcoin.
wild, you know?
That
And
that shit.
iPhone 7s probably don't even work on the network anymore. And so you're completely on to new things. And you think about all the other iterations that you've been investing in. And that's where it's like when people say they don't have the money, and I get it, some people genuinely don't. Not trying to knock on these people, but for the people that do, they just don't want to make that choice. Like at the end of the day, you have yourself to blame in this because that you could hold on to your phone, go two more iterations, and you could take that $20 payment a month that Verizon or whoever your T-Mobile people would be, and put it into Bitcoin and watch what it does.
And here we have another calculator. What did you say? Like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
20,
it was 10
2015?
years.
Let's make that
Yeah, it was 10
example.
years in total is what they were showing.
2015.
10 years of $10 a day of DCA.
We now um we now have here $10 a day. We have daily. We have since August 2015 do like this. Let's see what comes out. You would have almost 16 Bitcoin. I don't know, like what the heck? This is
1.8. Yeah.
like 1.8
So it's way,
million.
that's crazy,
Like that.
you know? And
That's
so
crazy.
I need to go reach out to old Marty and get him to change the number that was on the thing. But I mean, that's wild right there. That's $10 a day. And for some people, like I said, it's a lot. I understand, but any amount you can put into it is worth it because that will continue to grow. And it's the easiest thing you'll ever have to worry about, especially once you go the next step, cold storage or multi-collaborative custody. It's you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about a CEO going rogue, taking some drugs and running through the streets, or you don't have anything to worry about because they're going to continue to print money. We're going to continue to do basic because if not, the system collapses. And no one wants to, like, I don't want to live through that. We're in a really unfortunate time. You know, like it's got to continue to get worse in the fiat world. It has to. If not, all hell is going to break loose and it becomes a Mad Max moment. And I don't want that. I don't, it's not something I desire to be around, to have my wife around, to have kids around. And so, but if you can come to this other side and start putting your value in Bitcoin and allowing it to grow, it's kind of like Peter Dunworth said not too long ago, is 45 to 55% CAGR not enough? Like, what more do you need than that right there? Because when we average out the compounded annual growth, the rate at which the value of the network is building, it's higher than anything that's out there. And it's just buy it, hold it, let it sit, forget you have it. And I don't know. It for me, it's wild. You don't have to spend hours and hours trying to guess on a stock or do they have something new coming out or, and that's great. Like that's the old system's way of thinking. Money should be money, and that's all it needs to be. And if money can just be money, man, that gives us a whole lot of freedom right there.
And there is a lot of interesting examples with a football stadium filling. I just pulled that up and I want to make that example. If and I just literally asked ChatGPT about that because I'm always crazy with those numbers. So if you have you're dropping water, single drops of water into a football stadium, and you start at noon, 12 p.m. And every minute, the amount of water that you put into the football stadium doubles. So like 12:01, 2 drops, 12:02, 4 drops, 12:03, 8 drops, and so on. Then how long until a stadium is completely full of water? What
Man,
would be your guess?
I feel it's in probably like I would say a week or so because it's going to start to get to be so much. Yeah. It's a lot quicker than we want to believe. I know that much.
So the whole stadium is filled within 49 minutes.
That's crazy.
Now, uh, now comes the real truth of exponential growth. 49 minutes from 0 to 100, like completely filled. But the craziness is in how quick it goes there. After 45 minutes, so like 49 minutes is 100%. 45 minutes, it's only full with 6.2%. It's 4 minutes. The last 4 minutes, 93% of all the water comes in the
Man.
last
I guess that's
four
Parker
minutes.
Lewis's gradually, then suddenly. That's the then suddenly moment right there.
And then even almost crazier, in the last minute, it's only 50% full. So if you're standing like you sit at noon at 12 p.m. on the football stadium and you wait till your feet touches the water, after 45 minutes, you're like, yeah, it's only like a little bit, like it's there. I can still see it, like 6% only. Then 3 more minutes and it already is half full. And then give it 1 more minute and the whole stadium is full. That I think people just have no clue about exponential growth, and it's really hard to grasp. Like, oh shit, like what? How quick is this going? So I like doing those examples, and literally and everyone can do that. Go ahead and open your AI tool of choosing Grok, ChatGPT, whatever, and type in, give me the craziest example that you can come up with to show me the power of exponential growth. And I literally just did that and just read you what's going on, and I was
It's
like,
wild.
oh
Like we're not
fuck,
we're
like
not
that's amazing.
our brains don't really comprehend that. And that's okay, but just know that it's working against us when we think about what this system is that we're talking about, what the potential is. And that's one of the things that it's a big motivator behind what we're doing here and with the Bitcoin Stewardship Initiative is one of the biggest complaints with Bitcoin and its adoption is the use cases for it, because people don't just see the money side of it yet. And so that's kind of where we want to go, and we want to attach a use case to it, because what happens if we can say that by backing environmental restoration with the world's hardest money, what happens when we can start fighting desertifications, prevent people from having to, run away because of the fact that their ecosystems are collapsing? What happens when we can go and start refilling some of the water tables and the watersheds around the world that we're all depleting through irresponsible use of water management? And it's pretty incredible. And so how do we help people realize that just like the value side of things when it comes to the financial worth of Bitcoin, what happens when we layer on literally starting to heal the planet and doing it in a way where I don't need to go out every year and ask for people to give more money for these things that we're trying to do. We're going to use Bitcoin, which as we store our Bitcoin away, it's going to continue to grow, which will mean that we can do bigger projects later. We can go and fund more projects, and it's absolutely insane. And so I've never been a finance person. Uh, I just fell in love with planting trees, putting out swales, which is a way to capture water coming down a hill and to spread it out. And the thought of what does it look like if we take degraded farmland and we build a food producing forest that's designed with intention, where normal agriculture, I'm out there every year having to replant everything, replant. Well, what if we can start switching to a system that's perennial and it does the same exact thing like we're talking about? It exponentially gets bigger and healthier as time goes on. That's a game changer, and that's now the base layer in which to operate on. And so Bitcoin just aligns incentives, and hopefully more people start to understand it and get into it. And there's some incredible people doing great work. I think of Elihu and the Cornell Bitcoin Club and the work they're doing to start educating people. And it's the last couple of weeks I've met some incredible Bitcoin clubs here in the Tennessee area. And it's awesome to see that the grassroots movement's happening. It doesn't get all the coverage, but it's out there and Bitcoiners are all around you. And so I think it's a pretty incredible thing because it's not often you get to live through the adoption from the very beginning of something like this, And so we all get to play our own hand in helping to spread the word through the works that we do and how we speak, hold ourselves. And what an incredible thing to be able to say you're a part of.
It's
Yeah.
it's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
One thing I want to touch on, because I think we mentioned it a little bit before slightly, and I haven't really addressed this a lot in the podcast. It's the distribution of Bitcoin. And there's a lot of people that say, especially outside of Bitcoin, that say it's like an unfair distribution because the OGs have so many and it's so hard for the people that come in to acquire Bitcoin. How do you look at the fair distribution of Bitcoin versus the like extremely unfair distribution of fiat, and explaining kind of the difference
This
there?
is one of the wild things where you all have to wonder if Satoshi is deity or something. Whereas he put out this email and said, "Look, I think I've solved it. I've got this network that can do all these things that we've been discussing." He mined one block, turned it off, sent out the email, waited a week, and then started to mine again, just so it would be fair that he wouldn't be the first and only person mining Bitcoin. And it's like, if I don't know a fair way to do this, because like you can't force people to do things. No one wants their liberties and rights encroached on. If someone just told you you had to do it, more than likely you would say no, so you would have turned it down anyway. And so this is about as fair as it can get when it comes to the distribution of something. Nothing in life is genuinely fair. We can try to get as close to it as we can, but when it comes to Bitcoin, anyone can buy it at any price. The fact that you're in a first world country using a currency that has 30 times the value of someone in Argentina or Egypt or, Zimbabwe, that's not fair. You can buy way more Bitcoin with your money than they can. So are you just going to not buy it and just go and ship it to? No, that's not it. You should continue to stack and realize that, you are in a position to be fortunate and do something responsible with it. And it's not to condemn people because I get it. Like that, there's a deep pull in that wanting things to be fair for people. But a majority of people listening to this podcast, more than likely, are in positions where they have it pretty well off compared to people around the world. And okay, what do you do with it? It's not fair that you were born in Europe or you were born in North America, or, you could have just as easily been born in the Middle East in a war torn country where the war is right there, but you weren't. And so, okay, what do you do with that? How do you go and realize that you have advantages? And I think it's something similar to that. And no one thinks it's fair that the people closest to the money printer can just continue to exponentially grow their wealth. Like we all agree. And so this is the fairest system when you start to realize that we can't just print more of this. It would take people wanting to debase their own value that are already there. And I really think that there's going to be some very incredible moments where Bitcoin gets distributed out. And I don't think people are just going to hold on to it forever. And man, some people will for sure. I guess there's going to be people that just put it away and it's done. But as Bitcoin continues to get adopted and as the value continues, because it's really hard to sell your Bitcoin right now for things because we all see where this thing's going. And so right now, people are in like a I want to hold it and bring it in mindset. But once Bitcoin gets closer to that $1 million a coin, I feel you're going to see more and more people who can now spend and create those circular economies where, heck yeah, I'm going to start supporting Bitcoin only businesses. You know, absolutely, I'm going to do this because I want to see it go. And so in the end, it's the closest to fair that we've ever had. Like, no one can create this thing. It's the network that's doing it. Like, that's what's fair, you know?
Yeah, there's just a, and this is the fairest system, and it's sometimes I feel like because if there's one person that has a little and there's one person that has a lot, it can still be fair. And that's a hard discussion because, like, if we have a full Bitcoin world, I still think the there will be a richest person alive, and there will be someone that hasn't gone that has not that many Bitcoin. And I think the difference between the richest person alive and
Yeah.
kind of the median will be huge still because of proof of work. And there's this like, yeah, if you provide a lot, you will also get a lot. If you get what I mean. Do you think, like, how will the wealth distribution, do you think, change in a Bitcoin denominated world versus
Man,
like
already in a
a
fiat
fiat
one,
one?
it's not good. And so if that's the baseline, we're doing all right here because I believe that you're going to see more people escaping that fiat rat race in a Bitcoin world than anyone that's stuck in the fiat system. And so when you look at the adoption charts on where it's the heaviest or where it's the biggest, it's over in places where the IMF and the World Bank have come through, and they have basically overnight they've made these deals with dictators or the presidents, the kings, whoever's in charge, and overnight they've devalued people's life savings by 50%, 30%, whatever it is. And when you see the adoption happening there, where people aren't just holding on to that money that's been robbed from them, and they're starting to save, and they're some of the biggest users of the network, you realize that the places that are now closer to the bottom, I believe, are going to be places that continue to raise up and build up a lot faster. And so I believe that it will end up being a very interesting thing to watch unfold because there's no country has joined the IMF bank or the World Bank or the IMF, and through their loans has raised into a first world nation where they're all just doing great and excelling. And no, they're stuck in the system now, but the people under it have a way to escape now.
Thank you for watching this video. This was only a snippet of the podcast. And if you want to watch the full episode and get all of the context of this episode, you can click right here or here. Oh, maybe also here.